Good evening and welcome to America's Top 5. Tonight's episode is the Top 5 Supreme Court cases. Number 5 is Tinker v. Des Moines. Here's some background on the case.
Guys, I think I'm suffering from depression.
What makes you say that?
The Vietnam War has been going on for more than 10 years now. Think of all the Americans that have died. The protest last month, it was great, but I think we can do more.
Well, I heard on the news that Senator Robert F. Kennedy wants the U.S. to accept the 12-hour Christmas truce that Viet Cong suggested. Maybe we should show him some support.
I did like that black armband idea we talked about.
Me too. So it's decided. Let's wear black armbands to school next week.
Any student seen presenting a black armband in protest of the Vietnam War will be asked to remove it immediately. Those who fail to comply with this policy will be suspended and will only be allowed to return if they follow my condition. You three, remove those armbands now.
No, you can't do this. You're restricting our right to protest and our right to assemble and our right to freedom of speech protected by the First and Fourth Amendments.
You are all suspended. Grr.
Tinker v. Des Moines was taken to the court on the grounds of basic symbolic speech rights. The American Civil Liberties Union helped bring the case to court. The district court held up the decision of the Des Moines School Board, which forced the families to go to the U.S. Court of Appeals. The appeals decision resulted in a tie, which made the families go to the Supreme Court. The majority opinion written by Justice Fortas stated that the First Amendment rights applied in the light of special characteristics of the school are available to teachers and students, but the 14th Amendment protects students from the state and not boards of education. Tinker still won the case, though. Number 4 case is Lochner v. New York. Here's some background on the case.
Hey you! Do you want to work 60 hours a week for decent pay?
Hey you! You can't work more than 60 hours a week. Hey you! Are you Joseph Lochner of Lochner Home Bakery?
Yeah, I am.
You are in violation of the New York Bake Shop Act, which states you cannot have a worker more than 10 hours a day or 60 hours per week.
Yeah.
I can make my workers work however long they
Do you have any comments, Lochner?
No.
Lochner was fined in 1899 and 1901 for allowing workers to work more than 60 hours a week, which violated the New York State Bake Shop Act. After 2 sets of appeals, Lochner arrived at the Supreme Court, where the opinion of the court was that all men had the rights to work for as long as they like, so there could be no limit on work hours. Our number 3 case is Miranda v. Arizona. Here's some background on the case.
Hey, you there, stop! You're under arrest! You're coming with me. Do you admit to committing the crimes charged against you?
Yes. Are we done yet? It's been 2 hours.
You can't imprison my client. He was not informed of his rights when the police interrogated him. I am bringing this case to the Supreme Court.
I sentence you to 20 to 30 years in prison.
Miranda went to the Supreme Court held under Warren. The opinion of the court was that the prosecution could not use the police interrogation in their oral argument because Miranda was not informed of his rights against self-incrimination protected by the Fifth Amendment and the right to an attorney protected by the Sixth Amendment. Therefore, the court reversed Miranda's conviction. Our number 2 case is Schneck v. the United States. Here's some background on the case.
Bad! Resist the war! Don't go to the draft!
Hey, you! Stop! What's your name?
My name is Charles Schneck, and I'm a member of the Socialist Party of 1919.
Well, you're under arrest for violating the Espionage Act.
Espionage Act?
Yes, the Espionage Act requires that any anti-government propaganda be in line with the United States well-being of its citizens. Your Honor, Mr. Schneck was clearly in violation of the Espionage Act. He was passing out thousands of anti-war posters and flyers that were endangering the lives of our citizens and this fine nation.
Your Honor, my client was clearly exercising his First Amendment rights.
We have heard both sides of the arguments, and a decision has been made. In the case of Schenck versus the United States, we find you guilty as charged and sentence you to 6 months in prison. Case dismissed.
Schneck took his case to the Supreme Court after the Court of Appeals. After judicial conference on the proceedings of the lower court, the Supreme Court upheld the lower court decision finding Schneck guilty. Even though this violated First Amendment rights of free speech, the court found that the civil liberty could be taken away if a clear and present danger was made to the country, such as World War I. Stay tuned for case number 1.